Previously on The Grind.
Youcef, what's up, man?
Hey, I killed it, man.
You killed it?
I killed it. Hey, the first one, Liberty Mutual, I killed it so good. She was like, we want to have you for the second round, like, instantly. She was like, you need to interview with some managers. We're 2 managers. I was like, one is not enough, I need 2.
Welcome to The Grind, everybody, the show that brings you real talk about the modern working world. I'm Marc.
I'm Warren. So, Marc, it's been a couple weeks. What's going on with your buddy Youcef?
All right, so to recap, 2 episodes ago we met him. He's an awesome kid. He's getting great interviews, but he's not closing the deal.
So, whatever happened with Youcef? Did he get those jobs?
Let's check in.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, buddy, what's up?
How are you, man?
I am great. How are you?
Just trying to survive.
So how's everything going on the job front?
Man, I'd rather not talk about it, man. I've been a little disappointed, trying to figure out, like, what's next, what's the plan.
Yeah.
It's whatever, man. It's not in my hand. It's nothing I can do, I started thinking about it. I don't know if it's my qualification, like I'm lacking something, or it's because who I am, I'm doing leadership, I'm doing computer science, I have the GPA, I have everything they're looking for. It's because of who I am, because I'm a Muslim, because I'm, I don't speak English well. That's what I started thinking.
Yeah.
It's whatever, man. It's whatever. It's life,
I feel you, man.
It's not fair.
It's okay to be frustrated.
Like, I can be frustrated for, like, a week or so, but then I'm going to get back and, like, just keep applying. I did 150 applications.
Man, you're a beast. 150. Yeah.
Man, I've definitely been there, but 150 apps? That's out of control.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're here to talk about. But first, my wife Sarah and I, we had this idea.
We have a friend who works for Madrona, the venture capital firm.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of tech companies that they work with that might be smaller, and they might be interested in, like, an unpaid internship. Would you be okay with, like, an unpaid internship for the summer?
Yeah, if it comes down to it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know it's not our perfect plan, but
it's whatever,
So Youcef doesn't exactly sound psyched here.
No, he doesn't. But he decided to go meet the guys anyways, and I called him back a couple weeks later.
So, did you talk to the guys from Madrona today?
They were really awesome.
That's good. What was the conversation like?
So the guy was really awesome, down to earth. He got to know me. He was asking me about myself. He said, what do you like to do? What don't you like to do? And then he told me a little bit about Madrona. And he was like, we want you in here. At the end, the guy was awesome. You know what he said at the end? He said, I'm going to give you a test for 5 days. And you're going to show me what you got. So he sent me a big email. I can send it to you right now if you want to.
Dude, do it. This sounds like a good thing, man.
So does this remind you of something, Warren?
Yeah, dude. Jason Dana's strategies for interviewing from the last episode we did. Having an applicant actually display his skills.
Right. These guys are forward thinkers. They actually gave him a test. But the question I have is, like, is he going to focus on it? I mean, he's been talking about sending out 150 applications.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, I don't even know if that's like if he submitted like maybe 10 a day over the course of 2 weeks. Okay, I guess it pencils out, but it does seem like a ton.
Either way, he's diluting his efforts, right?
No, totally right. And it's one thing when you're at the beginning of a process and you're trying to feel like if people are going to come back to you and you're sort of casting a wide net. But when someone great like Madrona comes to you and says, look, we like you enough to give you this test. I mean, shouldn't you just focus on that and put everything else aside?
But Marc, isn't a lot of it luck?
That's true. If he puts all his eggs in Madrona's basket and they were just kind of messing with him or just trying to get to know him better, or maybe that internship goes to someone else, or maybe they decide they don't really need an internship. He's taken 3 weeks off searching for applications and time's like running out. So that's the question I want us to investigate for today's episode. When you're applying for jobs, should you be focused or scattershot?
Oh, like in Contra, when you have the spread gun, but the laser pops down, is it better to just stick with the spread gun or get that laser?
Yeah, Warren, it's like totally just like that. So to help us answer that question today, I went straight to the source and I got a hiring manager at one of the largest tech companies in the country.
But what if I don't want to work at a big tech company, Marc?
We've got you covered, Warren. Don't worry, because I also got the CEO of a small fashion startup. First, let's start with the hiring manager from the big company.
So my name's Mike. I live in the greater Seattle area, and I work for one of the big technology firms. I'm a recruiter. I'm what's referred to in the industry as a full cycle recruiter.
In your role, I mean, give us a sense, like how many hiring processes have you been involved with over the course of your career?
So I'm typically hiring somewhere between 4 to 5 people a month.
Gotcha.
I've been at this for about a year and a half, so that's going to put me somewhere around 60, 70, 80 people that I've hired.
Okay, so not your first rodeo, in other words.
Right. We call it industry recruiting. So what that means is I'm looking at experienced hires. I'm everywhere from where university recruiting stops, which is essentially once you're more than 12 months out of any degree program, all the way up to the executive level.
Well, that's thoroughly impressive. But what about the small company?
Warren, meet Dory.
Are you in the Philippines?
No. Does it say I'm in the Philippines on my
Well, I
chat?
friended the wrong person, I think. There's
No, I'm in Seattle.
another one of you. I want to unfriend him now. I don't know how to do that. Anyways.
All right, well, tell me about your company.
For sure. So Of Mercer is an apparel brand that caters to professional women. We offer a wide range of suiting and other office-appropriate clothes. And we sell primarily online at ofmercer.com and also through our Flatiron store in New York City. I founded the company with a friend from business school, and then I kind of oversee all the operations and production here. So we're not big on titles, but I'm pretty much COO.
So one of the beauties, I guess, of starting your own company is that you personally haven't had to interview for a job for a while. So I wanted to ask you, like, what's the last job that you've interviewed for?
Oh, man. Well, the truth is that I interned in consulting during college, and then I got a job offer from there, and I never interviewed since.
Oh my God. So you haven't interviewed for a job in 10 years?
Yep, over 10 years. I guess I interviewed to get into business school, and that is about it.
That's crazy.
When we look for people, it really falls into two kind of extremes. One is, can you do what Emma and Asia and I used to do, which is do everything or anything? Or do you have a very, very specific skill set that we need? So when it comes to design, clothing design, you need someone who knows how to design clothes, who understands construction, who has a lot of experience there. And then on the other side, we hire people who are just like super gung-ho, passionate about the brand, understand our mission, and are willing to do anything.
So what do you call someone like that? Someone who's just like a do-it-all, go-getter type? I haven't even heard of that before.
There are a lot of terms being thrown around for these types of roles. I've heard athlete, ninja, rock star.
Ooh.
It'd be like it's like a joke. What happens when an athlete, a ninja, and a rock star go to the bar together?
I don't know. They start a startup?
They change the internet.
Oh my God.
We're changing the world with athletes, ninjas, and rock stars.
That's really weird. But startups like Dory's are actively looking for candidates to fill roles like these?
Yeah, the reality is at a really small company, there's just a ton of stuff to get done, and it doesn't line up really well with one specific role or function. So you kind of need people who can do everything.
It's really hard to put that on a job board.
Okay, Warren, we're going to have Mike from the big tech company and Dory from the small startup walk us through what they look for in candidates, and we're going to cover a few topic areas.
Oh, so we're going to do a little compare and contrast.
Right.
Cool. What's first?
All right, first, let's dive into job boards. Mike talks a little bit about how applications actually make it to his desk and other desks in other big companies.
If you're going and you're looking for one of my company's job postings and you apply on Indeed and somebody else applied on LinkedIn, it's all getting filtered into my company's website or my company's applicant tracking system.
And the other thing is not every one of your jobs is getting posted on every job board, right? It can be a little job specific. Am I understanding that right?
That would be true, yeah. I mean, depending on how many different types of jobs a particular company has. For us, we have technical and non-technical jobs. It wouldn't make sense for us to post a non-technical role on a technical job board. You kind of want to go into this with some sort of an idea of the types of companies or at least the types of industries that you think you might be interested in.
Yep.
And then just kind of spot check. You know, if you're looking for automotive and you're on a job board and you don't see Ford, Chrysler, or GM, you're probably in the wrong.
You're probably on the wrong job board. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what Mike's saying is that job boards can be really efficient. You can see a lot of jobs on one site. You don't have to go around to every individual company's website.
But what are we missing? Like, what isn't getting posted on these job boards?
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point, because like Mike said, he doesn't post every job he has on job boards. I mean, some jobs he saves for his company website. So if there's a specific company that you really want to look at, you got to go to the source.
And what about small companies? What does Dory do?
Let's find out.
More of the specific jobs we post at schools that have strong experience in that, if it's a lower level person, or even if they have an alumni website for a job search. So when we're looking for people in like the design, merchandising world, we always post at Parsons, FIT. Drexel has a very strong fashion program. So when it's specific like that, we'll go that direction. Like, let's say it's a fashion designer, we're posting at Parsons. We know that they have at least the baseline skills. And then from there it becomes a personality and experience thing. If it's more general, we will post on our website. Sometimes we'll be ambiguous about what we're looking for and just kind of see what comes to us. And sometimes we'll be specific, like we're hiring, a sales associate. And that really helps because we get people who are kind of falling in love with the brand first. If you post on something like Monsters, you have no basis for understanding who any of these people are or where they come from.
Just a quick aside. About a year to 6 months ago, I was looking everywhere for media gigs, and I did a ton of like ZipRecruiter and Indeed. And it's funny, suddenly I'm just now getting these emails from companies that I applied to back then saying, "Oh, thank you so much for your application. We're considering other candidates." I'm like, no, really?
Yeah, Warren Langford doesn't wait 6 months for a callback, okay? You got to know that about Warren. You got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, I just needed to vent. What's our next topic?
This is a meaty one. The actual process of applying. Let's start with Mike.
On the posting itself, do you guys put like a, due date on the posting, or do you put a date when you'll stop accepting applications?
No.
Okay. Does anyone do that you've seen? Is that just like a college application thing?
It's probably a college application thing.
Okay.
And really for any sort of experienced role, it's pretty much first come, first serve. Okay,
that's actually pretty helpful because every week you wait, there's going to be people, jump in the queue, and that's an increased chance that resume is going to come through, for the person you're looking for, right?
Yeah, there's that. And I would say another reason why you want to apply as soon as you can, if I go in on Tuesday and I look at all my applicants and I send in a batch of resumes to my manager and we start moving forward, I might not go back and look at the applications that come in after that.
How many resumes, are you getting for the average job that's posted?
For the ones that have been posted for a good amount of time, 2-3 weeks or more, I think the lowest is I only have about 24, but I have multiple that are over 200 resumes.
Ooh, oh yeah. My. Okay. And that's only a couple weeks is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
All right. That's helpful.
Mostly what I get is people who just reach out to us and say, "Hey, I think of Mercer's awesome. I would love to work for you." I get 2 a day, at least. It's cool, but
that must feel cool.
We're not going to hire someone that way. There's no context for who they are or what they can do for us. What I think people should do, if that is the situation that they find themselves in, is do some research on the company and figure out what you can back up into and do for them. Give me examples of what you've done in the past to validate your experience, and pitch me on why I need to hire for that job. Don't pitch me on you. Pitch me on what needs to get done and that you then are the person to fill it. Because I'm sure I pass over a million great resumes all the time and I just ignore them because I have no idea what that person can offer. We hire for roles, but they're a bit ambiguous. And if someone tells me, the 11th role that we probably should have, I would listen.
Okay, so Mike is getting like 200 applications per job posting. Dory's getting a few random emails just cold every single day about every job. How am I going to cut through the noise?
Well, that's where your network comes in, Warren.
My network?
Yeah, Warren, your network, okay? It's a referral. Someone you know knows one of these guys, and they're going to introduce you.
We take them really, really seriously. Anyone who I trust that gives me a referral, I'll at least talk to on the phone. There's no better way than like a warm introduction to get to know someone, even if it's like a friend of a friend.
If I get something from a friend or if I get something from a hiring manager, I'm going to follow up on that pretty quickly. You know, that's pretty much going to guarantee that I'm going through your full resume and trying to find a good place for you, maybe even having a phone call with you and trying to help you find your way. If it comes from somebody random that I don't really know, I'm probably still going to take a peek, but you might not get that benefit of the doubt that I would get with some people that I know a lot better.
Why is a referral kind of a better use of your time than a random resume?
For two reasons. One, somebody's willing to vouch for this person, right? I mean, it's never going to be a huge negative impact if you refer somebody who doesn't end up meeting the mark. But, you know, like let's say that you do get somebody hired into your company and they're terrible. Well, that doesn't really reflect well on you, right? And so you get the sense that people are not going to refer people if they think they're going to be poor at the job. Now, whether or not they're the right fit for that role or they have as deep of a skill set as you want, that's, you know, that could be another story. But a lot of times the referrals I'm getting, you know, if they're coming from my hiring managers or they're coming from people on my team, they understand the work that's being done.
Okay, Warren. So as I'm listening to these two talk, I'm realizing that referrals, by their very nature, require you to focus.
Yeah. Put 1 point down for focus.
Yeah, because to actually get a referral, I mean, to actually go through the process of figuring out what the job is, learning about the company, learning who works there, seeing if anyone you know knows anyone at that company, asking the person you know to refer you to the job. That's a ton of steps. You can't do that for 150 jobs, right?
So laser 1, spread gun 0.
Yeah, 1 in the focus column. But you know what I think is appealing about Scattershot? You know why I think a lot of people do it?
Why?
Because you spend a ton of time on your resumes and cover letters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Polish them up. They're awesome. It feels silly to waste them on just a few jobs.
You got to blast them out there.
You got to blast them out, man.
But I think Mike mentioned something earlier about this applicant tracking system.
Yeah, what? That sounds like a resume scattershot trapper.
When I'm going through my applicant tracking system, I'm going to actually take advantage of the same sort of thing that I use to search on LinkedIn, which is called a search string. And that's basically just narrowing down my results. There's always a portion of people who apply to a job that really are kind of far from meeting the bar. And so when you're trying to prioritize limited resources, you say, okay, well, if there's going to be a percentage that's not going to meet the bar, I'm going to use this search criteria. And if you don't meet that search criteria, your resume is no longer going to pop up for me. You know, if I'm looking for a marketing person, I might put in a search string that has every variation of the word market, marketing, something like that, advertising, advertisement, or brand or branding, with the assumption that for this role, the most basic candidate is going to have somewhere or other on their resume experience with marketing or advertising or branding, or some sort of variation on that. And if they don't have that, then they're not qualified. A simple search string like the one I just named out can narrow the results from like 75 applicants down to 40 or 50. And that's why it's so important as a candidate to tweak your resume every time that you apply to a role and actually use the terms that they use in the job description.
Does the resume format, really matter, or are you looking at things through a different format when you see it?
So I'm looking at verbatim resumes. So whatever PDF or Word doc you load into our system, I'm literally pulling a PDF or a Word doc and looking at exactly what you put in there.
Okay, so it does matter.
Yeah, I need to be able to read it. If your resume isn't formatted well, it's really difficult to read. It's tough to find the information. It's not going to be long before the recruiter decides, I can't find the information. that's not a great communication skill. I'm going to move on. But if you have somebody that you work with or that you kind of aspire to be like a little bit more, ask them if you can take a look at their resume and see if there aren't some really good pieces that you can pull away from that.
What makes a great resume for a job that our candidates are applying to?
One thing is you're meeting kind of the basic qualifications that I'm putting on a job posting. So if I'm saying I want somebody with 3 years of experience, I want you to have a bachelor's degree in one of the sciences, you're going to have all of those things. A lot of times, those actually end up being legal requirements. And if candidates haven't met those bars, I can't even talk to them because it could come up in an audit and the company can get fined legally.
Whoa. Okay. So what's an example of like a legal requirement?
A lot of times for me, it ends up being years of experience.
Wow. Okay. So
try to put as few requirements in there as possible, but legally we have to have at least one requirement on there as like a minimum basic requirement. So for me, I use it as years of experience, and I try to be as liberal with years of experience as I possibly can.
Do cover letters even matter? Do you ask for them? Do you receive them when you post a job?
So for me personally, I don't ask for them and I don't look at them. I think that in all of my application packages I've seen in a year and a half, I've seen maybe 3 cover letters, and I scrolled right past it to get to the resume. I'm more interested in seeing the skills you've built in your experiences. And the way I see it, a cover letter is you telling me what you're good at, but a resume is you showing me.
At least in my experience, it's really hard to look at a resume and be a good judge of how that person will be for the company. If it's something in the creative field, we always ask for a portfolio because that's how you can really tell their style, their strengths, some of the effort stuff. So if like you can see that their portfolio is really thought through and really comprehensive, that means a lot more than they just like threw together a few sketches that they had done over the past 10 years. For more businessy roles, we'll ask for just a cover letter and a resume. And then we just really look for a cover letter to be specific to us and not a generic one where they just filled in the blank of Mercer. Especially with a small company, you have to be very passionate about what the brand does. It's not a job that is like, okay, we're going to make widgets and then I'm going to go home. Like it really requires a lot of energy and stamina and emotion to be good at any job at a small company. And that, to me, comes through very, very quickly in an email or a cover letter. And basically what I'm looking for someone to do is tell me back why Mercer is the best company in the world. That might be narcissistic, but I think you need to feel that way if you're working in a startup. And like, as much as we try and have an amazing culture and great work-life balance here, it's a startup, and that's not always the case. So on the nights when we're all here till 11 or 12, it's not your past skills or experience that's getting you through. It's your belief in the company and your excitement for what we're doing.
All right, so let me make sure I got this straight. Mike loves resumes, hates cover letters, and then Dory's the opposite. Loves the cover letter, hates the resume.
Yes, and I think it speaks to something deeper about their two types of companies.
Right.
Because Mike works in an environment where your specific skills, your past experiences matter a ton. So he doesn't really care what you have to say about yourself in a cover letter. He says, show me what you've done. And your resume is going to be the best way to do that. But Dory's a little different because, like she said, she works in an environment where energy matters, passion matters, your interest in her company really matters. It's not really going to come through on a resume.
Nope.
You got to get it in a cover letter, right?
Yeah.
So I think that speaks to how you cut through the noise and get noticed at these two different types of companies. But I don't think it completely resolves our question for this episode, right, Warren?
Yeah. Scattershot versus focus.
Okay, so I did ask them about that question too. Let's hear what they think.
When you're applying for a job, is it better to be focused and pick a fewer number of jobs and really go deep? Or is it better to be kind of scattered shot and apply to a ton of jobs because, hey, look, you never know, you might as well take a shot?
So I would say only apply to jobs that you're interested in, but broaden your definition of what you're interested in. So what I mean by that is if you're scattershotting to dozens of roles and they're way out of your experience, it's a waste of your time anyway. Your resume is not going to show those skills. You're not going to be enthusiastic in the interviews. And even if you did somehow manage to land the job, you're probably not going to be happy.
If it were me, I'd probably do both. I would scattershot and then also just pick my, top 10% of jobs that I was interested in, really focus my attention there. I think a lot of the preparation that can get done though for one job translates to another. You could kind of like little scattershot within little ecosystems of job opportunities.
So we've got our answer, and like always, it's a little bit of both. It's a little ambiguous.
Okay, I think I can do a little better. I agree it is a little ambiguous, but I think what it really is when you're starting out, when you're first submitting your applications, it's okay to be a little scattershot. I mean, yes, you have to tailor your resume. Yes, you have to write a good cover letter, but you shouldn't lock into just one job.
Right.
But when you start to get the feedback back, when you get into interview processes, when you get to the final round, when you get, a 5-day test to prove your skills,
like Youcef,
that's where you got to focus. Okay, right? That's
right.
That's pretty clear cut. So here's the thing, Warren. We did this whole episode. We came to this great conclusion.
Yeah.
Youcef kind of knew this all along. I'm sorry. I don't want to ruin it for you, but he's a smart guy. He figured it out.
This is what you said in your, I was listening back to the interview we did, and you were like scattershot and focus, right? So it's like you go, apply to a bunch of different things. But then when you get something that hits with like this thing, is like go deep on it for a little while. Yeah. And then go back to hunting again. But then when you catch something, it's like go deep and just like crush that thing until it's done.
No more hunting, man. Like right now I need to focus on what I have and try to make something out of it. I'm going to be working on it, like real work, man. Like I'm going to be working hard on it.
You should dominate this.
Okay, guys, this has been The Grind. Thanks to Mike, Dory, and of course, Youcef.
Thanks to Trackman Productions for our theme and PG Boo for everything else.
And the Washington State Opportunity Scholarship, of course, for their continued support.
And listeners like you. Mark, I got a new one.
All right, Warren, what is it?
Grind over and out.
I like it. All right, see you guys in a couple weeks.